Hello, welcome back to Beauty Bee. In today's video I'm going to be trying something new and doing a dedicated review. This is on the Wet n Wild Color Icon 32 Pan eyeshadow palette. I believe this was released last year for holiday, but it is still available on the Wet n Wild website as well as a few other retailers. Here's what it looks like on the inside. It is sort of a half warm, half cool palette. There's quite a bit of color. This entire row is shimmery. This row has one matte shade with this cream. This row has about half matte, half shimmer, and this row is entirely matte. I'm wearing this palette on my eyes today. I have also added just a little bit of silver glitter. Today what I am wearing is a mixture of these two colors all over the lid. I have this yellow on my lower lash line. I put this blue shade in the very inner corner, and then I blended it into the purples with this darker blue. I also have used a little bit of this black to make the winged liner, and I topped that all off with some silver glitter from ColourPop, which is giving the effect that you see on my lid. I will also put in right now a little slideshow of, I believe, 4 other looks that I've done with this palette, and I will put up a picture that explains which shades I used where. I will also put in some swatches here. Everything in this palette has pretty decent pigmentation. You'll notice that there are some pretty dark shades. I think that the blue does come off as blue, however, this deep purple really just looks dark on the lid. This looked like a not great black eyeshadow when I tried to apply it by itself this morning, and there is not, in my view, enough difference between these 3 teals. Overall though, the pigmentation, the quality is surprisingly nice. I did not have any trouble blending anything out. I didn't experience a huge amount of fallout. There was some, but when I used primer and patted things on, I was able to get a pretty mess-free application. I do find that this wears quite well throughout the day. I have applied this in the morning and then taken it off in the evening multiple times, and I do find that it wears quite well. There is a little bit of fading. When I did a look using these 3 very light shades is when I noticed the most fading, but it was not severe. It still looked fine by the end of the day. Now let's talk price. Originally, this was a $15 palette, and I don't think that's an unreasonable price. I think the quality is pretty good. That's about 50 cents a shadow, and that seems pretty fair. I was able to get this on sale at Walgreens for $8 and I believe it is $10 currently on Wet n Wild's website. At that price, I think this is a fantastic deal. For me, this actually added quite a few colors that I really didn't have in my collection. For example, I had nothing similar to this green. This pink is very new to me. I didn't have anything similar to these shimmery teals. Weirdly enough, I didn't have a matte black or a gold either. Don't know how I did that because I have quite a few eyeshadows, but so for me, this added quite a few shades. However, I think that if you have a pretty large collection, you likely have all of these colors or nearly all of these colors. And while the quality is nice, I don't think it's so mind-blowing that it would replace decent versions of similar colors in your collection. The individual pans in this palette are pretty generously sized. I think you can see when I compare it to my 10 pan Rosé in the Air that they are almost the exact same size, if not the same size as these 8 smaller shadows. And bringing up the Rosé in the Air, which is the only of Wet n Wild's 10 pan palettes that I own, I think it's important to note that I see quite a few overlapping shades. I will swatch those for you. This was not originally in this palette. I created this as a Frankenshadow, but there was a berry shade in here that looked very, very similar to this color. And quite similar to this color was actually not very good. Both palettes have quite similar burgundy shades with these two. This one is from the 32 pan palette, and this one is from my Rosé in the Air, which is the Modern Renaissance dupe. And additionally, this cream shade. These two cream shades are not quite as exact as the other match, but they are very similar. And I don't think you can really see either of them because they're both quite close to my skin tone. And looking over the palette and Wet n Wild's other 10 pan palette offerings, I saw quite a few shades that I would expect are duplicates. I didn't mark very many of the neutrals at the bottom row because it was difficult for me to determine just from online, you know, is this brown the same undertone as one in the other palette? But I suspect that there is a bit of overlap here as well. Additionally, Wet n Wild has put out several different 10 pan palettes for Halloween collections, and I think a few other limited edition palettes over the years. So it may well be that some of these other shades were present in those. I did not go through all of the limited edition palettes to check. So, who could this be a good idea for? I think that if you do not have a large eyeshadow collection and you are looking to add some color, this could be really nice. If you are not into color, I don't think this would probably interest you very much. I mean, if you just take out the blues and purples, that's practically half the palette gone already. And while these neutrals are nice, they're not incredibly high quality. Also, if you wanted to create sort of full neutral looks, really the only shimmery neutrals are this gold and this sort of light peach and a shimmery white that has almost a blue cast to it. So I suspect that that would be somewhat limiting. You could definitely get a better neutral palette, a more comprehensive neutral palette at a similar price at the drugstore. If you already have quite a few Wet n Wild palettes, especially the 10 pans, again, I think this would probably not be a great purchase for you because you are likely to have a huge amount of overlap. I do not know if they are exactly the same formula. Just from swatching the ones that I have, I suspect that they are. However, the ingredient list differs a little bit palette to palette within the 10 pan range, and the ingredient list on this palette differs a little bit from all of them. So I don't know if that's sort of a weighted average of the different palettes, or if these are a slightly different formula. Because we are getting a little bit closer to the holidays, I thought I would also mention that this could, I think, make a pretty good gift for a younger family member who wanted to play with makeup. I mean, the price tag is quite reasonable. It's around $8. And personally, I would feel a lot more comfortable gifting a younger, let's say niece or nephew, with something like this over a Claire's makeup set. I have a little bit more faith in Wet n Wild than some no-name Claire's brand to have safe cosmetics, and I would choose this over, say, one of those ColourPop Frozen 9-pan palettes that has a pressed glitter in it. If you're an adult, it's up to you to choose what goes on your eye, but I would have little faith in a young child showing self-control when it comes to bright yellow glitter. All right, well, I think that's my review. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, I would really appreciate if you would like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time.